All right, everybody, welcome back to the Kleen-Rite Radio podcast. I'm Fix It with Phil, and as always, I am joined by my good buddy, Mark Tyndale. Mark, how are we doing today?
Phil, I'm doing great. It's our first session in 2026.
Yeah.
We're excited to get this rolling again. We had a nice little break.
Had a couple months off of podcasting, did a little traveling around, seeing some operators.
Not a hiatus, but we traveled.
Yeah, definitely wasn't a break.
It wasn't a break. We had the Southwest show. We had 2 trips to some rehab car washes.
Yeah.
We actually, we learned a lot. I thought
we did learn a lot. I came back with a lot of new ideas. Not necessarily like equipment ideas or anything like that, but just new ideas of how to look at car washing in general, right?
Or how other people are looking at car washing in general now. Like, I don't know about you, but I got a different feel this year from our open house barbecue and the Southwest show than what we felt last year. It felt like people are kind of coming around a little bit. They're getting more excited.
Yeah, it's almost like the industry's experiencing like this rejuvenation almost, right? People are excited about it again. There's more of a positive outlook on where we can go with this than before. You know, we had a lot of doom and gloom. Everybody was comparing themselves or worried about the express down the street. And operators are really, truly taking the time to think about their business and saying, I'm not an express, but I can definitely compete with an express.
Yeah, and now, I mean, the ICA is getting more engaged. People are getting more engaged in the ICA. And I think if you were there, you heard Eric Wolf did a great presentation. Mm-hmm. And really, it sank in with me because he nailed the differences between the self-serve IBA group and the tunnel group, you know, basically putting them into boxes and saying, this is what you are, but this is what you can be.
Right.
And really more optimism towards self-serve IBA than tunnel.
Yeah.
Tunnel's going through a flat, almost
stagnant period. Per se.
The word he used, I can't remember exactly, but an adjustment period.
Yeah.
Where they have to regroup, figure out who the big players are going to be. There's going to be some, you know, more consolidation.
Yeah.
And in the self-serve IBA space, there's just an uprising.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people buying rundown car washes. There's a lot of retired people exiting. It's maybe not going to their family members. It's going to a new investor who's willing to put that capital in needed to make it a complete turnaround. And our trips specifically were great examples of those.
Beautiful examples of that. And it, you know, as we talk about that express to self-serve IBA, right? I think there's a lot of operators out there that had one wash and did it the right way, or, you know, made a bunch of improvements and saw what they could accomplish by doing that. And those sites that are not being passed down generationally, they're actually going out and they now understand that they can scale this themselves, just like the Express did, right? We're seeing more and more operators going from 1 site, 2 sites to 5 sites to 7 to 10, right? And guys are really focused and understand what they can accomplish. And, you know, I think as this grows and people get more involved with it, more information will come out and new ideas.
Yeah, I don't know if you got this, but from all the people we talked to, it seemed like there's some great one-site operators and there's some not so great one-site operators.
Yep.
But even the one-site operators who are, it's just a lifestyle side business for them. They're still, I'm going to say it, a little micro-focused on some of the little things and not really looking at the big picture of what they can capture. I mean, they're still thinking in quarters and 25 and 50 cent increments. And I think that the guys who are coming into the space and really making a change are not even looking at that. They're looking at their site, and they're looking at their business model, and they're looking at, loyalty, and they're looking at payment systems. They're looking at how to make it easier on the customer.
Yeah.
And they're just organically 2Xing and 3Xing the old car wash. There were some great examples of that. I don't want to get into, but we can talk about, down the road. We're going to do a session just on payment systems alone.
Yeah. It has been a huge learning lesson. This, 2025 was a huge learning lesson for us. We were doing our thing, and a lot of people took that and molded it to fit into their business or their area, however you want to say that. And it's been really interesting to see how people have attacked that, right? We went to Florida, and that video's up on YouTube. Guys, check that out. That was a great reno project. That's a first-time car wash couple.
First time.
Right? It's their first car wash. They went head first.
Not their last, though.
No.
Not their last.
Definitely not. And I love that. They've enjoyed the process, and they made their site customer focused, and their customer experience is beyond, and they've seen great success, right?
Yeah.
So that just speaks volumes to, they have a positive attitude towards their site. They have a positive attitude towards their customers and that business. And it's allowed them to get to where they are in a very quick timeline.
Yeah.
Right. So,
it feels like the Southeast, which was probably one of the most, I don't want to say oppressed or depressed markets that we deal with, other than maybe some parts of the Midwest, is going through this renaissance.
Mm-hmm.
And they're fixing their sites up. They're raising their game. We talk about it. If you go back and listen to the last 19 podcasts, we talked about how to do that.
Mm-hmm.
These guys are actually doing all of it. They're doing all of it. And so I was thinking the other day, and I sent you that text. Where was self-serve IBA the last 20 years, right?
Yeah.
Where is it today? The great part about today is the operators who are going to be in it for the next 10 or 15 years are actually questioning the industry and the vendors and the suppliers. They need more to get us to the next 10 years. And we have some stuff we're working on to help them.
Yeah.
And I think that is what it needed at Curious stage. The Curious stage has not been there the last maybe 10 or 15 years. It just wasn't there. It was the fear stage.
Well, everybody was just operating status quo, right? It was just, this is what we do. This is what a self-serve car wash is. And people are finally reimagining that experience for customers, right? It doesn't just have to be the standard high pressure soap, brush, and wax anymore, right? So
yeah. And we're not, and I want to make this clear. We're not saying everybody has to do it the way we would do it, but if you're sitting there thinking, how can I do it better? And you're trying things and you're changing things, that's really all this podcast was about.
If you're being curious, you're investing in yourself and your site, right?
Yeah.
You're going to reap those rewards.
100%. And everybody that's done it has experienced that.
Yeah, and it is absolute proof in the pudding. Everybody that we've talked to, whether they, went through us or they went through somebody else, they've made improvements at their sites. They're seeing that success, and, we're still just going to drive that train all the way. Everybody that is curious enough to reach out to us or anybody else, have that hard conversation, do that SWOT analysis of your site, right? You can get to the top.
Yeah. And we talked about this the other day. If you're comparing yourself to the self-serve down the street, that's fair, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if you're comparing yourself to the express tunnel, that's not fair, because they are completely different.
Apples and oranges in what market you're in.
Right. And both businesses are viable. Both are great businesses. They're just so different.
Yeah.
The only common thing is that a car is being washed.
Right.
how they're being washed, who's washing them, what it costs to operate, and the type of operator are completely different.
Yeah.
And I think that's maybe one of the things that we maybe missed the first year doing this was what were those defined differences? And now we're starting to see what those differences are. So Marcus, when we were in Alabama, he said it perfectly. You can scale self-serve car wash, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can still mom and pop it, but it's a lifestyle rather than a boardroom company.
I'm just I'm hearing what you're saying, and I'm just thinking about that. I think this series, that should be an episode in itself. Let's break down IBA self-serve washes and express washes, what the differences are, how they operate differently, and how we can touch our customers differently.
Yeah.
Right through those businesses.
And the advantage that and we talked about this many times, the advantage that you have in the self-serve IBA is all the stuff you can take away from what the expresses have done.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to use it all, but they've done some great stuff with technology and with marketing and advertising, and getting their stuff out on with some of these outreach programs.
Yeah.
But you hear self-serve guys talk all the time about we want to be part of the community. They're starting to use that community angle,
fundraisers, stuff like that. Yeah, getting involved.
Yeah, and speaking to the people in your town, guys. There's no doubt that if you're local and people know you, and you do an above average job, you're going to win. There's another famous guy that said, "I just want more than my fair share." Right.
Okay.
And that's all that the self-serve and IBA deserve is more than their fair share.
Mm-hmm.
Right. But if you're not getting even your fair share, I don't think it's the self-serve business. I think it's the operator or the location or right. There are location problems.
Yeah, there can be some. I agree with that. There are location problems. If you're out in the middle of not close to anybody, that could, make your business suffer. We're not all washes are strategically placed right next to a housing development or anything like that. But like you said, if you're doing an above average job, you'll have customers travel from 2 towns away.
Yeah.
To use your wash,
100%.
Right? So, to me, that comes back to that consistency and staying on top of making sure that your customers get the same experience every time.
Yeah. And the advantage is you're appealing to self-serve customers do not use the wash as much as IBA or tunnel customers, right? There are some that use it frequently, but the data shows that most people do not wash more than, 4 or 5 times a year in self-serve. It's just you're appealing to a much broader base. Right. So you're washing the landscapers, you're washing the guy with the big truck you're washing the small, cars, the sport cars that can't fit on a conveyor.
Well, and the guys that don't want to take their cars through a friction machine or don't trust the machine going around their car, stuff like that.
Or they enjoy doing it themselves.
Yeah. Some guys and gals, they just want to wash their own car. And there is a very big market for that. So as long as we stay professional, we stay courteous to our customers, and we give them a consistent product every time.
Make it enjoyable. Make it an experience.
They will come back time after time.
And they will pay the fair more than market or market price.
Right. And we always talk about, if you do that reno and you make improvements at your site and you know that you have to do those things so that you can raise prices, right? I'm experiencing it at a site that we did it at. And
cashless.
We went cashless, and we are, I'm experiencing a little bit of pushback from customers, and that's okay. I expected it. It's here, and I am politely addressing that with the customers and explaining to them all of the new great benefits that we've given them and that we appreciate their business. And it is just the natural order of running a business. If prices go up, things change, people complain.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I mean, people complained 6 years ago. Very few complained when I went quarterless, and my revenues and happy customers far exceeded the complaints.
Right.
Right.
Exactly.
So we're just seeing this paradigm shift, right? The guys who were brave 10 years ago went quarterless, right? They didn't go put token machines in. They went full, let's make it easy on the customer and purchase your service in the Bay, right? Now you're the maverick that's cashless. We've talked to probably 2 to 5% of the market who have gone cashless. Nobody has said
this wasn't worth it.
This wasn't worth it.
Yeah, it's been lights out, night and day difference for us, and the site is just operating so much smoother. And you're right. I get more praise for doing it than I do critiques, but you're always going to get critiques, and you truly cannot make everybody happy. But as long as you are trying, right? As long as when that customer reaches out to give you a little bit of flack about the changes that you've made, if you take the time to talk to them, you are going to end up keeping that customer.
Yeah, and let's face it, right? So let's really put it in perspective and call some operators out on this. If you don't change a thing and you have one incandescent light bulb in your bay, your decals are half torn off of you don't even have a decal. It's a stainless meter box at this point.
Yeah.
And you decide to go cashless, well, you're going to get more complaints than somebody who put all new stuff in.
Yeah.
Has, nice, the nice hoses that don't kink and aren't hard and everything works. You have
to invest in a change like that. You can't just make the change and hope that everybody's okay with it. You have to invest in a change like that, right? You have to give your customers a better experience to warrant doing those things. But even when you do that, you're still going to get that complaint. And everybody out there, you can't be worried about it.
Well,
is my message.
And good business people turn complaints into praises.
Yep.
And you're going to lose a small percentage of them, but complaints are usually people who care.
Yep.
And, convert that person to your way of thinking. If you can't, I found that at my sites, 7 sites, all quarterless, been that way I see the same people who said, "Oh, I like to bring quarters to the car wash." They still use it.
Yep.
And now they just put bills and credit cards in.
Yep. Yeah. So change is not a bad thing. I think that 2026 is going to show us that operators are not going to be scared of change now. We're not going to be scared to give a little bit of change to our customers. And it's just going to elevate the self-serve and IBA.
I'm super excited about the next 3 years of all the change that's going to happen.
Yeah.
And the people who are going to leap forward. And unfortunately, there's going to be a few that may be left behind, right? Maybe not. If you're in a town of 500 and you have wash, rinse, and wax, and you might be okay because that's what you're used to. That's what they're used to. You're not going to invest a ton into that site. But, we get calls with guys that are doing poorly on a 30,000 car a day road.
Yeah.
I don't care if you have 5 tunnels on either side of you. You should be killing it.
Agreed. 100%. You should be able to captivate the market around you. Even people that go to an express on a regular basis still visit a self-serve car wash.
Yeah. People have memberships. They still, I'll say it. They'll bring their trash cans, their air conditioning filters. They still use them all the time.
Yeah, their trailers,
the work
whatever.
Trucks come out all the time.
Yep.
The big dirty, mud trucks. I love dirty vehicles, and I think some of the operators, you see it all the time on Facebook. This guy came in with a muddy truck.
What are you guys doing about mud in the bay?
Shovel it up and smile. That's what I say.
I'm getting excited. That's what I'm doing.
That guy just spent $20.
Yeah, exactly. So, I think 2025, people have started to have changed their perspective on, what our segment of the industry is. And I think 2026, we can shed a lot of light on where this industry is going to go.
We're going to focus hard on it. We have some great guests coming up.
Oh yeah.
And we have a good guy next week that is just going to breathe some energy into what we're talking about. He's good at that. He's a fist pounder.
He is, but I'll tell you what, every time we sit down, all of us sit down and we talk about what is going on, I'd leave those conversations excited.
Right.
Like just ready to rock and roll, ready to car wash again.
I used to 10 years ago, trade shows were kind of boring.
Mhm.
I love them. I love the excitement.
Yeah.
People stand in line to talk to us. Not everybody's buying equipment. Some of them just want to talk.
Yeah.
And which is fine. And the Kleen-Rite booth was hopping.
Man.
And the ICA is going to be.
I'm actually surprised we're both able to talk at this point. We spent the entire time talking, and it was fantastic to see everybody have those conversations, shake hands, and hear what people are doing out there. Guys, don't stop.
Yeah, keep going.
Pushing.
And I think for our first session of after a small break,
yeah,
and a lot of travel, I think this is a good starter. And then we'll hit next week hard and
get it rolling again.
Maybe you can send us off here.
All right, guys, we're going to close this one out. Want to thank you for tuning back into the Kleen-Rite Radio podcast. We got a little soft start back into the new series that is sponsored by Little Trees. Little Trees is the biggest maker of air fresheners for cars. Guys, if you're not selling these at your site already, you are missing the boat. This is an easy revenue add to your site. 1 to 2 vendors on the wall, get a couple different flavors going, and customers will love you for it. We will see you on the next podcast.
Thank you.